Welcome to this introductory guide on accessibility and why it is important. What we will cover today is a brief introduction and then go into more depth as to what accessibility is. We will look at the reasons why accessibility is important, and lastly, we will cover what Clarivate does and will be doing to make our products accessible. Introduction. The web plays an important role in a huge number of lives as a resource for learning, work, communication, and entertainment. Accessibility is the effort to make the web and its associated benefits available to everyone, regardless of their abilities. However, a huge portion of the web is difficult or even impossible for some people to access, depending on the level of accessibility provided. So what is accessibility? If a website or product is accessible, it means that it has been built in a way that people with disabilities can conveniently access the information, sometimes using additional tools like screen readers or a specialized mouse. There are a number of different conditions and abilities that should be taken into account when creating content accessed via a computer. For example, people who are hard of hearing or deaf will not benefit from audio information and will find it easier to read that information. Those with motor control challenges, such as tremors caused by Parkinson's disease, may struggle to use a traditional mouse, though they might find it easier to navigate using only their keyboard. The web is an extremely visual medium, with most of the content being composed of text, images, shapes, and colors. People who have less than perfect vision may need text to be enlarged, or people with little to no vision at all might have to use a screen reader to announce the content of a web page to them through audio. Users with cognitive challenges, like reduced attention span or memory, benefit from content being in a clear and simple format, which really benefits us all, regardless of our abilities. Which brings us on to our next topic: how designing and building accessible web content benefits everyone. Creating content that can be accessed on many different devices makes it as convenient to view that same content through a mobile phone screen as it is through a traditional computer monitor. As we grow older, it is almost inevitable that our senses will not be as sharp as when we were younger, whether it is our eyesight, hearing, motor control, or cognitive ability. There are also temporary disabilities that we can all encounter, like a bright light on a screen makes the content difficult to see if there isn't high contrast, or trying to consume content in a noisy environment makes it difficult to hear the audio. Lastly, there are environmental limitations to technology, like having a slow internet connection makes complex content take a long time to load. Web accessibility relies on several pillars in a variety of combinations. Clear and simple content presented in alternative formats goes a long way to cover the basics. Think of a video that has captions and a sign language interpreter. Assistive technology steps in when challenges can't be met with more mainstream solutions to accessibility. This is where it becomes important that content is accessible for screen readers, which requires them to be built following certain protocols. Users often have their own adaptive strategies, like zooming into text to see it better, or turning the volume all the way up for those who can't hear very well. Authoring tools help the developers of web content to create it in an accessible manner. Evaluation tools help developers to check their work and make sure it really is accessible. But why is accessibility important? Well, the access to information and communication technologies has been defined as a basic human right by the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. Accessibility has also been written into law in the United States with Section 508. This law relates specifically to federal institutions which includes universities and government agencies. For countries outside of the United States, many of them have written into law that companies should meet the criteria laid out by the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, or WCAG. Not only is creating accessible products important because it's written into law, but it benefits a huge number of people in the world. Having accessible products also benefits us as a company by enhancing our brand, pushing innovation, and increasing our market reach. So what do we do at Clarivate to make our products accessible? Visual accessibility. Eyesight differs among the population, with age being a large factor in the reduction of eyesight strength. We make sure that the text in all our products has a minimum font size so that it can be read by most people. Readability of text is also affected by the contrast of the text color in relation to its background. This is known as the contrast ratio. Physical accessibility. As well as the size of the text, we design the size of the buttons and other clickable elements to be more accessible. Larger buttons are easier and quicker to select when using a mouse or a touchscreen. When talking with potential clients, they may ask us if we are Section 508 compliant or if our products are accessible. The level of accessibility for each product varies, but something we can do is to provide the potential customer with a VPAT. A relevant product manager can help you find out who can fill this in, and it will give the potential customer documentation of where we are accessible and where we are not, so they can make an informed decision. This is important for everyone involved, as there have been companies who have been sued for not providing accessible tools for their employees or their own customers. In 2021, we are continuing our work to make our products more accessible. We are now focusing on two large pieces of work. One is to introduce the ability to navigate our products using a keyboard only, which will benefit users with motor control challenges. The other is to start building our products in a manner that allows a screen reader to understand and read back the content out loud to users who can't see. Hopefully this video has given you some insight as to what accessibility is, why it is important, and what we are doing as a company to reach the goal of being fully accessible. For any more information, you can always check section508.gov for details on American accessibility laws, or go to w3.org to see the guidelines that many other countries follow. Thank you for your time.